Okay. We're going to finish up the retailing discussion today. We covered like a lot of stuff last class. I know I kind of cut the class up quick. Does anybody have any questions talked about last class? You guys follow everything we kind of talked about? Questions?
I know it's illegal.
Illegal. Okay. What's up? Give me an example of upselling. We talk about like. We talk about upselling. Bigger TV, right? We talked about coming in for a 30, 35, and 42. What else did we talk about? Upselling. Restaurants with the desserts. And all that. Well, that's upselling. So there's nothing wrong with upselling. It's just a way to increase the transaction size, which is how much you need. Bait and switch is not that. Bait and switch is illegal. The car industry was notorious. I talked to that lady over there about the VIN number. And it was notorious for advertising, you know, a vehicle, and it was legit, but they sell the thing right away, and then people just come in looking for that vehicle. That vehicle's out there, and they try to sell you something. Yeah.
So about the bait and switch example, when does it become they just sold out versus one car like that? When does it just become like, it's okay, they ran out, like 10, 15, 50, is there a number?
Well, I'll tell you, it's not a number so much as what does the store or retailer do. So if you go to a department store, or let's go to any, really most stores, if something's out of stock, it's on sale, what happens? What do you do? Can, or what else do they do?
Order it online.
Rain check?
Rain check. Well, what's a rain check? Have you ever heard that, Amy? You know what a rain check is? So a rain check is when you go to a store and something's on sale, and you go into the store and they don't have it. They give you like a coupon or something that says, okay, in 2 weeks when this puppy's back in, you're getting that price. So they honor the price after the sale's over because they didn't have the item. And most stores will do that. In most stores, what they don't want to do is piss you off. Right? They don't want you coming in for something and they don't have it. They don't want to piss you off. A rain check is the right term. That's the term I use. It's something that gives you the ability to buy that product at the same price down the road. So if they do that, whatever the price is, whatever the product is, then to me that's not bait and switch. It's more what they do rather than how many they sell.
Okay, so the rain check, is that like across all industries, or is that?
Yeah, most retailers will do it.
Including like the car dealership?
Well, how can the car dealership do it? Right, or they got to give you, like she said, a better car at that price. You know, it's tough when you're talking about $30,000, $40,000 vehicle versus a $20, $10 item. It's a big difference. What else, you guys? Anything else confused you guys last week? Nothing?
The first flame quickly fades.
Nothing?
Darkness.
All right, so we talked about departments and categories. Let's start with that. What is, Mr. Publix? What's a category in Publix? No, what's a department? Duh. Let's start with this. What's a department in Publix? Okay. And what's the category in beauty products? Exactly. Shampoos, right? That would be categories within a department. So this chart right here talks about which department is best. So let me just get this just an example. So you have 4 departments. They talk about sales, gross margin, average inventory cost, and GMROI. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this because this is a little complicated. But when you're a retailer and you're trying to figure out what to do with your business, this is exactly what they look at. So you got 4 departments. The sales is easy, right? So department A is 315 grand. Department B is 220, Department C is 210, and Department D is 186. And that could be for a month or a year, whatever it is. They don't say the time, it's irrelevant, whatever the time frame is. Gross margin. Now we're talking about pricing, you're gonna be sick of this stuff. But do you guys know, most people don't know what gross margin is. Does everybody know what gross margin is? Don't feel. Okay, there's two terms. This will definitely be a test question. There's something called margin and markup. I'm going to talk a lot about this in pricing, but since it's on this chart, I'm explaining that. Margin and markup. Accountants in there? Who's getting accounting degree? What those are? You heard of those terms? Margin and markup? Yeah. So what's the difference between margin and markup? Okay, it's all right. Any other accountants in here? Okay. So let's say an item sells MSRP is manufacturer's suggested retail price. Just let's say it sells for $10. Okay. It costs 6, profit 4. Okay. So let's say that's what would be 10 now? A low-end jacket. The retailer TJ Maxx is selling a jacket for $10. Cost means that they bought it for $6, right? So TJ Maxx bought that jacket for $6, or whoever. Okay? That means their profit is 4. Now, there's a big difference between margin and markup. Different industries use different terms. For instance, the car industry, and a lot of some retailers use markup. Most industries will use margin, and there's a huge difference. In order to define what these two are, this is about the most complicated math thing you're going to have in this class. Profit is always on the top, right? So in margin and markup, 4 is always the numerator. The question is, what's the denominator? When you're dealing with margin, right? You're dealing with margin, 4 on 10. This is 4 on 6. So percentage, 40%, 6%. You guys got it? And the reason it's so important is because all industries, all jobs, all people that have to do with sales or making money, they have these goals. They'll have margin and markup goals. And depending on what industry you're in or what company you're in, they may use one or the other, but there's a big difference. So you need to know which one they're using. And when you start talking about, it's like even in school, you start talking about examples, people like they mix those two up, or they use them interchangeably, which is absolutely wrong, especially in this class. The margin, 4/10, 4/6. But look here, they say gross margin, 46%, right? So in this case, I have 40%, they're using 46%, 41, 48, 42. You guys got that? Cool? Okay. So the numerator is always the profit. The denominator is, in margin, it's the price that you sell it for. In markup, it's what you bought it for. So here it's 4/10, right? The margin is 4/10. The 10 is the MSRP. Markup 4/6. 6 is the cost that you pay for it. That's cool? Thanks for asking that question online. This is gonna be a little complicated, this chart, so if you have questions, ask. But again, this is how retailers run their business, so you need to know it. So you got 4 different departments, right? We talked about the 4 different sales. You see the gross margin, right? So it's interesting, all these products, in this example, are between 41 and 48%. Average inventory cost The main thing that contributes to inventory costs is a thing called turnover. Mr. Public, you know what that is?
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Like how often goods go through this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give you guys an example. Let's go to bread. Just an example. If you add up, if the bread's got, there's just 12 pieces of bread. And over the course of the month, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8 of them do $10, let's say a week. And 4 of them do $5 a week. All right? What you have to do is you add this up. It could be a month, a week, it doesn't make any difference. If you do turnover by week, by day, by year, it doesn't make any difference. So you got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 20, $100. You guys got that? So what they do is you look at the whole category, and if everything in that category sold one time, what would that section provide in terms of retail sales? You guys got that? Now, sure. So this is the bread aisle. We're looking at bread. Okay, and there's 12 different breads up there. Okay. What happens is, based on price, in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 breads are priced $10. 4 breads are priced at $5 each. If the whole thing sold one time, $100.
Okay.
You guys got that? So it's 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 5, 5, 5, 5, 10, 10. You guys got it? All right?
So it's anything that's
One time.
just once.
To figure out turnover, as he said, let's go to the month of March. And bread sells $1,000 in the month of March. What do you think the turnover is? Exactly. Turnover is 10 times. Now, notice, it doesn't matter what sold what. This could have sold once, this could have sold 100 times, right? But you look at the whole section. The turnover is 10 times in this case. And turnover, again, could be by day, by week, but whatever you want to measure. So higher turnover, good or bad? Good. Right? So what you don't want, especially in like appliance stores or places where the items are a lot of money, what you don't want is that shit sitting there for a year. Right? If that stuff sits there for a year, what's the negatives of that? Let's say a refrigerator. You're in a refrigerator and you're at Home Depot, Home Depot wouldn't be the case, but some electronic stores, some places, the refrigerator's there for a year. What's so bad about that? That's pretty good. That's one. So the stuff becomes obsolete. Very good. What else? Exactly. You got a cost of inventory. So if you've paid $1,000 for that refrigerator, you've paid $1,000, and you're waiting for your money back. Right? With no profit. What else? That's good. What else is bad? What else is bad about that? What's that refrigerator doing? Huh? Space. Exactly right. So it's taking up space, and you got space in the store for that refrigerator, and the refrigerator's not selling. You can put a refrigerator in there that sells once a week, not once a year. The turnover is massive because it has to do with what's in the store. It's what's in the warehouse. Think if that shit doesn't sell at the store, and the warehouse, that refrigerator at that store doesn't sell, and there's 100 of them at the warehouse. You know, that clogs up the warehouse, it clogs up production, clogs up everything. The turnover is massive. Yes, sir. Yes, at any given time, if everything sells one time.
So arguments, they don't get to sell things.
off of Bar Parkway, there's like 100 Nissan Road. I'm wondering, they don't, like, what do they do with all those cars? Because they have, I saw a line of them parked at Target. They've been there for like 8 months. I've always wondered.
Is that good or bad?
Well, it's bad, but I'm just wondering, it's not even on your lot, the Target or the Best Buy park.
Yeah, because they don't have enough room at their dealership, so they rent space from Best Buy or the guy who owns the strip center. Rents it from them and they rent the space. But the cars are, it's the same, it doesn't matter what it could be, cars or shirts or masks or hats, doesn't matter. You need to have high turnover. If you don't like in cars, right? If you don't, that's a major league problem because you're tying up a lot of money. The thing with cars though, is there's a lot of, it gets very dicey with, like what car did you say?
It's like a
Okay, but Nissan subsidizes the dealers. So what that means is, I don't know what that Nissan dealer paid Nissan in order to get a Rogue, but they maybe don't have to pay financing for a year, right? Maybe they don't have to pay them for a year, right? Or maybe they get a discounted price because they know it's not turning. But and then they're gonna have to dump the price or sell it to a rental car company or do something to get rid of that inventory. But you're right, you see that all the time. It's funny, I know like U-Haul. You guys know what U-Haul is, right? I just found this out, this blows my mind. U-Haul, every one of those trucks and vans and everything that they sell is owned by U-Haul. So what happens is if you own a gas station, and I don't know if they ask you or you ask them, but you make a deal with U-Haul, and you're selling or renting the U-Hauls, but you don't own the U-Hauls. U-Haul owns the U-Hauls. Think about how many U-Haul vehicles and things there are in this country, and what happens if those things don't rent? What's U-Haul doing? U-Haul's toast. They got hundreds of millions, maybe billions, tied up in all these vehicles. So if they don't rent, in that case, their turnover is rent. You've got to make the assets work for you, right? Doesn't matter what product is. The assets have got to turn over. They can't sit there because of what you guys all said. Okay, does that help a little bit? Yeah. Auto industry is funky. A lot of stuff happens behind the scenes in the auto business.
I was just curious.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes. Okay. Yes, sir. Does everyone know what he just said? Shelf life on grocery. Does everyone know what that is? So like all products, you got to sell it by a certain day. So what happens is a lot of times they discount it like 2 days. If it's good for 2 weeks, 2 days before the 2 weeks is over, they dump the price and try to get rid of it.
Let's say like refrigerator.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's really because there's not a shelf life for refrigerators.
Yeah.
So turnover, remember turnover. This will be a test question too, probably. Because this is really important. Turning over means you've got to sell the stuff that you've got in your store. Does everybody understand this? Sure everybody's got that? Okay. The reason I bring that up is that average inventory cost is actually a little complicated, and I don't want to go into it. But turnover is a big part of what this average inventory cost is. Hey, Mr. Accountant. There's nobody else accounting in here? Nobody else accounting? So you an accountant? What's Jim right? I can teach you that.
Return on investment.
Exactly. Who said that? How do you do it? You're a finance guy. You know how to count your finance. How do you figure that out? Do you know how you figure that out?
Yeah, I just GM, that was obvious.
Okay, so you know what it is though.
I don't know how to count.
Okay, great. So he's exactly right. Jim Roy. It's called Jim Roy. It's gross margin return on investment. All right. When you're looking at which department is best, What is most important? Sales, gross margins, average inventory costs, or GMROI? What do you guys think? Exactly. Because what does GMROI measure? Exactly. GMROI measures profit. And what GMROI basically is, to be kind of simple, is if you invest $1, you get $1.39 back. Okay? It's more complicated than that, but again, for this class, we're going to leave it at that. So what is the best, if I was just a test question, and I asked which department is best, which department is best? BP. Because what GMROI does, you guys, is it takes into account the formula, and I don't want to get into it, the formula, and you're right, it's gross margin return on investment. The formula's got sales, gross margin, average inventory cost to come up with GMROI. And if you look at it, why is this dude so high? Why is he so high? Exactly. So this might be beauty. It might be mascara, or it might be the beauty salon, something in the beauty where the space is not a lot of space, right? But they're turning that thing over, right? So if you're a category manager in Department D, whatever that product is or products are, let's say this is Kroger, whatever. What do you ask? If you're involved here, what are you talking to the guys at Kroger about? Exactly, because you show them these numbers, right? You say, holy shit. Because we got a lot of this, the soft drinks, we always fought this at soft drinks because our GMROI was pretty low. And just so you know, our turnover in soft drinks and Coke was 70 times a year. So what that means is, that our products were turning over, what is that, 5 days? Every 5 days, the whole section would sell. All right? And why that's important is for a retailer, even though our GMROI was low, if you're selling all those products, I mean, millions and millions of dollars every 5 days, what does that give you? Count. What does that give you? What are you getting? If you're selling a lot of products, cash flow. You guys know what cash flow is, right? So a lot of retailers push soft drinks because they want the cash flow. They got to pay bills, and it's a way to generate. The other thing is our terms were net 30. You guys know what net 30 is? You all don't know what net 30 is, no way. So net 30, and if you're a little confused, don't worry, because I'm going to go through it to get pricing. The net 30 is called a term. It's a payment term. So net 30 means that if I sell, if Coca-Cola in this case sells Kroger, $50,000 worth of stuff for a week, after 30 days, they're supposed to pay me 50 grand. So they don't have to pay, Kroger does not have to pay Coke, it's 50 grand for 30 days. But wait a minute, we're selling in what? 5. So we're selling 6 times before they're even paying the first one. So they're just ginning money, man. They're just ginning money up. So that's why, other than soft drinks are popular right with consumers, from a monetary standpoint, I don't think there's not a category in the store that's even close to soft drinks in terms of low margin, really high turnover, a lot of money. You guys got it? That was whoever answered that question is correct. The reason why Department D is so good is because for some reason their average inventory cost is low. And it probably means that they're selling a lot of shit out of a smaller space.
Would Lay's kind of be the same?
there's these factors all come into play. Half an hour, one chart, not bad. The rest of the stuff's pretty easy. Online growth, we talked about this, right? And I don't know if this is exactly the close to the numbers I gave last time. The thing that this chart, one reason I like this chart is it actually has dollars. Now this chart, this is, when did I do this? I think this is maybe, well, yeah, see, so this was 2019, I got this chart. So they have 2017, 2018 actual, 2019 estimate, right, all the way down to 2002. But this, actually, last week, I don't think we talked about how big, we had those bars, but it wasn't how many dollars. Look at this in 2020, what year are we in? 2021? 2 years ago, they said we were gonna do $70 billion. And you can see the growth. And with the pandemic, if you had to guess, like I talked about last class, if you had to guess, you think this is conservative or liberal? Conservative. These numbers are probably way too low because the pandemic is just accelerated. So these, all these analyses were done before the pandemic, and this was just a natural growth of the business as it was 2 years ago. Once the pandemic hits, these numbers are astronomical. But it gives you an idea of the size and how big it's growing. So all retailers, when they look at online, I'm not going to talk about online because we talked a lot about last class, but online is just so important. And this is just grocery. You can imagine, in all other segments, electronics, liquor, it doesn't matter, all segments. Online is just everything. Right now it is. Okay, we talked a little about Amazon. I think we got one chart on Amazon. Yeah. So I pulled this one chart on Amazon. So this is basically early 2019, so it's 2 years old. But the Amazon profits of 2014 to 2018, boom, 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 right? And we know what Amazon's doing now, right? It's just kicking ass and taking names. So again, this is going to be conservative. What is this? 232? I don't know, Jesus. I don't know what it is now. It's probably 5 times. But here's the thing the reason I brought it up. Now, you guys know what the difference is between gross income and net income? You do. You know the difference between gross income and net income? Gross profit, net profit? You know the difference? Okay, another thing you guys need to know. I'm selling snowmobiles. That's the only thing I'm selling. That's the only thing I'm selling, right? I'm selling snowmobiles. I'm selling snowmobiles, and the quantity I'm selling in a year is 1,000. All right, and I sell them for just another not $1,000, right? I got a cost 600. My gross profit is 400. All right, so in this case, I sell 1,000. My gross profit is 400. What's my total gross profit? Lost you guys, huh? I'm selling snowmobiles. I'm selling 1,000 a year. I'm selling for $1,000. My cost to the snowmobiles, that's what I'm paying whoever the snowmobile manufacturer is. I'm paying Yamaha. Some of Yamaha dealer, and I'm buying Yamaha snowmobiles. So I'm selling Yamaha, and that's all I've sold. That's all I'm selling. I sold 100, 1,000. I'm selling them for $1,000. I'm paying Yamaha $600 to get that snowmobile to me. Right? That's what I'm paying Yamaha. You guys got it? So the profit on each one is 400. You guys got that? How much money do I make a year in gross profit? 400 grand. What did you say, 4,000? You said 4,000.
I don't know why.
Okay. Do you guys understand that 400,000 does every not get that? 1,000 units times $400 gross profit. Ma'am, do you get that? Get that? You do, okay. We got that. So what the hell's net profit?
Check the cost.
What? No, we already did that. Right? The MSRP is 1,000, the cost is 600, the gross profit is 400. When you sell a snowmobile, every time I sell a snowmobile, I'm making $400. Gross profit doesn't count. Counts as net profit. So what's net profit? Let me ask you a question. I got a store, right? What do I have if I got a store? Rent. What else we got? Utilities. What else we got?
So expenses.
Yeah, just total expense. Yeah, just big, right? Total expenses. In a year to run that store. Let's say it's 200 grand. What's my net profit? Exactly. How'd you get that?
400 minus
200. That's exactly right. Again, majorly difference. A lot of people spend their time talking about this, and we get at the price, I'm talking about something about EVA, it's a little more complicated than that. And I think it's important to know. But the difference between gross profit and net profit has to do, net profit has to do with the expenses that you incur in order to get your gross profit. Right? So, you guys, online retailers, right? Online retailers, what advantage they have over brick and mortars?
they don't pay employees.
What else?
They don't have a lot of.
Exactly. They're not keeping inventory. They don't have a store. They may have 5 employees instead of 50. On and on and on.
They outsource a lot.
Outsource all that stuff. That's why online retailers can be much more profitable in brick and mortar because their expenses are low. The difference between gross profit and net profit is operating expenses. You guys got that? So when they talk about net income and net profit, it's kind of synonymous. So let's just say it is. It's net income. So look at Amazon, right? In 2014, they're selling a lot, but what are they doing? What's that revenue? They're losing money. Why would they do that? Why would Bezos do that? What's that?
To get money in the long run.
Of course. So when you open up, and almost all businesses are like this. When you open a business, you think you make money like the first year. Normally, most businesses lose money, and that's if you're going to be an entrepreneur, for the most, it's not always, but for the most part, the first year, the first 2 years, you're losing money. The problem with a lot of entrepreneurs is they don't factor that in. They open up a restaurant, and they think when they open up the doors, they're going to kick ass. And they probably will kick ass at some point, but that point is not the first day they open up. You've got to have enough money to carry you over, right? So in this case, Bezos is so rich, I don't know, they're investors or whatever. They were able, this 241 was chump change to that. That's 241 million, I think. Yeah, 241 million. Look what happened next year. Boom, 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 boom. This is 10 billion. So they went from negative 241 to 10 billion in 4 years. And you can see the net profit margin went up, boom, 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 right? Revenue growth, look at these revenue growths. And again, I don't know, the revenue growths were astronomical, really all the way back from the beginning. But the big thing, again, this is nice, but we don't go to the bank, right? You don't go to the bank on revenue, right? And you don't grow your share price based on revenue. What do you go to the bank on, and what is your share price based on? Profit, right? For instance, if Amazon, in order to get this growth, would have had to invest $100 billion, make $100 billion for whatever reason. These revenues would be great, but what would this be? This wouldn't be 10, it might still be red. Right? So revenues is nice, but that's not what counts. What counts is how much money you make. So you guys understand the difference between gross profit and net profit? Net income is about the same thing as net profit. You guys got that? Okay, so Amazon, it's what you think, but I like this chart, and I thought maybe I have to try to update it next year, but it's astronomical. And I just wanted you guys to know, in 2014, when they opened up, they lost money. And look how fast they made money. I mean, that is crazy. Because most businesses are gonna go like this, right? They're not gonna go like that. So you gotta give Amazon, you know, whether you like them or not, a lot of people don't like them, but whether you like them or not, they've done, what they've done has been just amazing, really. Been amazing. We'll see what the future is. What else? What did Amazon do a couple of years ago, you guys? What did they buy?
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods. Why did they do that?
Trying to take on Walmart, I guess.
That's part of it. What did they really want?
Some physical.
Huh?
Some physical or no?
You know what they wanted? Information on you. Because the reason they bought Whole Foods was to sell more shit through Amazon. You know, Whole Foods would actually have a negative impact on these numbers because grocery stores as a whole are very small profit. And I think net profit of a supermarket might be around 3%, but at massive numbers. I mean, gigantic numbers, but the net profit is only 3%. So in this case, it would actually drag Whole Foods, that would drag Amazon down. If they're buying something at 3%, this 4.3 would actually go down. The reason they did that, not only because they think they want to get a grocery, but the big thing is they want data on consumers. Help them with their Amazon. So, Big Brother, Amazon's an interesting company. For a million different reasons. Okay. Off of that stuff, we talked about this, you guys, just briefly again. Independent retailer, individual, or a group, right? And he's not here, but he said his mother owned 10 clothing stores. Did I call that a chain store, a franchise, or independent retailer? Independent, yeah, exactly right. You guys know what chain stores, Publix, Home Depot, Kroger, Walmart, they're chain stores. Okay, you guys, help me with this. Okay, what about Little Caesars? Okay, so what's the difference of a franchise and a franchisor? Franchisee, franchisor. You weren't here.
The one who's, you know, buying the franchise and getting the rights to licenses products to sell.
That's right. So she said Little Caesars. So Little Caesars, does Little Caesars, the company, own all the Little Caesar locations? No. I don't even know. I don't know. It's small. I don't know what they own. Maybe not. I don't know what they do. But they're the franchisor. We talked about this last class. Is there any questions about it? So those are the three basic ownerships: independent, chain store, franchise. Factors for establishing a relationship with retailers. This is kind of interesting because if I'm selling a product, whatever the product is, okay, this is probably hard for you guys. There's a product called Stihl, S-T-I-H-L, and they have 10,000 locations in the U.S. And what they sell you guys is chainsaws, power tools, manly stuff. You know, manly. I mean, you know, stuff to cut and outdoor stuff. But you know what? Guess how much they sell to Home Depot and Lowe's? Zero. No Lowe's, no Home Depot. And this is a massive company. Why would they do that? Why would they? So what they're doing is you have independent guys that sell power tools and lawnmowers and stuff. And there's, I don't know how many are in the United States, but there are 10,000 of them. No Lowe's, no Home Depot. Why would Stills not want to be in Home Depot or Lowe's? Meaning what?
That they can just give it to you at a Home Depot, they won't go to them.
Okay, so Still sells to independent dealers who sell their products. So it's not like Still has 10,000 locations. Still is in 10,000 locations that are owned by independents. So now what's your comment? About competition? That's all right, that's okay. What do you think? Why would they not go to Lowe's or Home
They're
Depot?
too big.
So what?
Well, if they're too big to get drowned out, there's like the Home Depot and Lowe's people aren't like still representatives to kind of push their products. So with all like someone goes in and asks for like the best lawnmower, there's like 5 equal ones.
At Lowe's or Home Depot?
Yeah.
That could be true, right? So when they sell their lawnmower to these 10,000 dealers, I thought that's where you're going with competition. There could, at Home Depot, you got 7 or 8 different brands, and over these dealerships, there might be 3 brands. Competition's the reason. Why else in bed?
I was gonna say, is it because they don't want them to drop their price?
Why do you say that? Why do you say that? Go ahead with the price. Why do you say that?
Because if they sell it to Home Depot, then they have more control to.
Who has more
Yes, they're on
control?
sale.
Who has more control?
Wouldn't it be Home Depot?
Exactly. If you got 10,000 dealers, how many people are making the decision? When you set your price, there's 10,000 different people involved. When you go to Home Depot, you're meeting with some dude who handles all Home Depot stores. And when he says, I need your lawnmower at $50 less, what do you think you're gonna do? Yeah, give it to him for $50 less. So price could be a big factor. This is a way potentially of selling their products at a higher price. If they go to Home Depot and Lowe's and they have to dump their price, say $100, what happens with these 10,000 dudes? Exactly. Those dealers that got to dump their price. That pisses the dealers off, right? Because they've just lost $100 that they didn't have to lose, but because Still went to Home Depot, they did that. So the reason I bring up all this stuff, this is about factors establishing a relationship with retailers. It's not like if you're selling something, you want it in every retailer you possibly can. Because some retailers you want it, and some places you don't. If you're a high-end product, why isn't Louboutin, how come they're not regular in TJ Maxx? If Louis Vuitton said, TJ Maxx and Louis Vuitton, I got 2,000 stores in the United States, I'm kicking ass, which they are. TJ Maxx is kicking ass. They got about 2,100, 2,200 stores. They go to Louis Vuitton, it's like, oh my God, man, you can go to 2,200 stores. What would Louis Vuitton say?
No.
Why not? What do you look for? What's that?
You mean precision,
What is Louis Vuitton?
That's
high class.
High end, right? So Louis Vuitton is a luxury product. If they start selling at TJ Maxx, what happens to the brand? Goes down. So, people think, well, geez, I got a product, I just want to sell it everywhere I can. With soft drinks, that's the case. And we sell soft drinks, anybody with pets. But most products, that's not the case. Most products is, you have to choose your retail products, you have to identify which type of retailers you want to do, you have a strategy, and then you have to manage an omni-channel strategy. That's just a fancy term for saying, if you're selling your product, if you're selling your product, you brought up snacks. What did you bring up? What product?
Legs.
Legs. So she brought up legs and QT. And we're going to be sick of the pricing thing because we're going to talk about this a lot when we talk about pricing. We got QT. So these are convenient, supers, mass merchandise, and drugstores. Lay's. Does Lay's have the same price and the same strategy at all four? What does Lay's try to do at mass merchandisers? Exactly. Who said that? Julie, that's right. So when you sell to a mass merchandiser in bulk, what's it look like in the store? What is in the store if you sell 5,000 cases of Lay's to Costco? What's Costco going to do with those?
Bags are gonna have cost.
And they'll have big displays, right? They've got all this inventory, they got to sell them. Well, QT can't, they don't take 5,000 cases of Lay's a year, right? So what that means is managing an omni-channel strategy is somebody at Lay's, and we'll get into this when we talk about pricing. Somebody at Lay's has to look at all these different channels. Remember we talked about this before the midterm. So retail channels. In this case, convenience, supermarkets, mass merchandise, and drug. Those folks at Lay's and every product that's sold in these different, and obviously there's thousands of products that sell all four of these. You know, some products, what products only sold at drugstores? What products only sold at drugstores? Huh? Medicine, right? So I say only. And we've got, mass merchandise, QT, how's your price on Oxycontin? Yeah, you don't have Oxycontin, right? So if you want Oxycontin, you gotta go someplace else. So the point is, most products aren't in all these channels, but if they are, whatever, it's whether they're in 2, 3, 4, 12 channels will make a difference. You have to figure out how you do a strategy for each, and I don't have time to go into it. But we will talk about it from a pricing thing when we get into pricing. So the purpose of that slide, you guys, is that when a product is trying to figure out how to sell through retailers, they got to go through this process to figure out what's the best way to maximize sales. That's the purpose of the show. Pretty straightforward. This is distribution. I'll talk about it. Types of retailers: food, general merchandise, service, right? So service, I talk very little about service in this class. This is on my part. But service retailers, auto rental, health spa, vision centers, banks, all of these are considered retailers, but they don't really sell a product, right? They're selling a service. General merchandise, food, so you can see all those. We've talked a lot about it. Talked about this last class, right? Enough for you. Service. So when you're a service retailer, you have to worry about the 4 Ps. Yeah. Do we ever have to not worry about the 4 Ps? No. So if you're thinking about marketing, everything's a 4 Ps. So they're starting to talk about services here. So even when you're talking about 4 Ps, let's talk about banks. This kind of gets a little bit into your project. Banks, I don't get that product. Providing the right mix of merchandise and services satisfies the needs of the target market. When I talk about a bank, what's the product? The product of the bank is how the bank looks, where it is, what size it is. Banks now offer brokerage services. Banks now offer all kinds of stuff, mortgages, that they never used to, right? So the product with a service is no different than the product with a product, right? In this case, a 4 Ps of service, a product, has to do with how they deliver their services, right? What do you do? So when you get somebody to cut your grass, what's their product? No.
Service.
What is it?
The service they provide.
The performance?
So the product has to do with the job they do. Is their truck beat to shit? What kind of service do they provide? How good are they with the customers? That's all product.
So how they carry themselves.
How they carry themselves is exactly right. So product, all these, the 4 Ps, we talked about this before. The 4 Ps, each of them have broad definitions. But the point I'm making here is services, it doesn't matter whether you're a product or a service, you have to look into the 4 Ps are important to where you get your business going. Benefits of stores, I threw this in here because everybody's talking about online, online, online. Why do people even go to stores? Yeah, we talk about Walmart supercenters in this class. What's the number one reason people go to Walmart supercenters?
Has everything?
Number one reason?
Has everything?
Huh?
Has everything?
Price.
Oh, price.
But the second reason is? Entertainment and social interaction.
Walmart?
Walmart supercenter. So like especially in the rural areas, like on a Saturday night, you bring the family. Did we not talk about that in this class? Yeah, this is for sure. I mean, we did a ton of research at COVID. Now unless it's changed, but I'm sure it has. We did a ton of research in terms of why people go to a Walmart supercenter. And price is number one. Variety is actually number 3. But the second thing is social interaction, entertainment. You got to remember what the United States is like and what kind of consumers there are. We live in a little bubble. Go live in a double wide in Nebraska. So that those consumers at Walmart, if you think about it, not only are consumers around the country much different than us in this class, but the people that go regularly to Walmart. Some of you may. That lady's not here. She was cashier at Walmart, but it's not. Is Walmart upper class or middle or lower class shopper at Walmart from a socioeconomic standpoint?
Lower.
Middle and lower. So upper class. So my wife wouldn't be caught dead in Walmart. Okay, and she's not an elitist or anything. It's just that it's that experience, the products that they've got, the lack of service, the lack of quality, blah blah blah. Not for her. But guess what? She'll kill to get to a Costco. Kill. I eat Costco food. I bet every 3 times a week. She's massive, Costco. I don't even want to know our bills at Costco.
So for your wife, would it still be the entertainment essential for that, or would it be personal service?
Okay, great question. So my wife's going to Costco. Why would she be going to Costco? Is it social interaction and entertainment? Why is she going to Costco?
Like ambiance?
Risk reduction, stuff like that. So you see Costco products in the last 5 or 6 years have come to the roof in terms of quality. At Costco, you could not say risk reduction even like 5 years ago. But today, dude, Kirkland, Kirkland is, we talked about this class, right? Kirkland products are like just as good as national brand. The food is off the charts at Costco. My wife's a gourmet cook. She doesn't mess around. But sometimes she serves straight Costco food. So the benefits of stores for consumers versus online shopping, look at it that way. There's the act of going into a store and walking around. That's my wife. So my wife loves to shop and doesn't usually buy anything. She likes to walk around and see prices, and she'll buy stuff on sale. Today she came home, I'm laying on my desk, and she comes home with a bunch of bags. I go, so she goes through, she walks in, she's with a great little blah, blah, blah. She had 4 bags, I think the total was like $43. So she likes the act of doing it, and she only buys stuff on sale, right? So, and she likes nice stuff, believe me, but she only buy nice stuff on sale. So this idea of browsing is important, touching and feeling. A lot of people, I talked about Home Depot last week, right, or last class. A lot of people want to interact with other people when they buy something. So when you go online at Amazon and you buy something, how much of touching and feeling do you get? Zero. So there's a lot of consumers, especially not older for sure, but even like, I don't know, people that are more, like not lonely, but people are more introverted, people that are more, that they don't have a lot of social interaction. They can go to stores, and this is a big part of the experience. They like talking to the salespeople, they may talk to another shopper. Obviously, personal service on the internet. What kind of service you get on the internet? If you got a question, what do you got to do? Put it up, or chat to somebody who's in the Philippines who can't speak English that you're not going to talk to for an hour, right? So if you're into that, right? If you're into personal service, you go to a store, cash and credit, and this is kind of an old. Are there any retailers that you can think of that give you discounts for cash now?
Gas station.
Gas stations, some do. I bought my wife a necklace a couple of weeks ago, and I went to the Mart down. You know where the Mart is downtown? Have you guys ever seen that big building? Has anybody been in the Mart here? Okay, so downtown, it's a square block. It's it's very close to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's a square block, and it's about, I think it's like 10 or 11 stories, massive, and each floor one has jewelries, one has high-end coats, one has art. Every floor has got their thing, and they're all wholesalers, right? So what happens is retailers go in there and talk to those people about buying their stuff and reselling it. Now, if you're like me and you got some connections and you stretch the truth, you get in there, right? So I went to buy a necklace for my wife. I didn't want to buy it at a retail jewelry store. I want to buy it from there because it's much cheaper. So I went there and bought it. So I tried to get a better price, of course. I said, whatever it was, I said, can you do better on the price? Guy said, first thing out of his mouth, you know what he said? You pay cash or credit. If I'm paying cash, what does that mean? Why is it a lower price?
I guess it's right. Or here.
No, you guys. Huh?
There's credit card fees?
What's it? Yes. You know what the credit card fees are, buddy?
3% or something?
Okay, yeah. So that's the thing, right? So when you use your credit card, you buy something for $100, you use your credit card, and you use a Visa, Visa gets the money and gives the retailer back $97. American Express, $95. That's how credit card companies make their money. So when that dude says that you pay cash or credit, if I'm not paying credit, he's not paying credit card charges. He says, yeah, he gave me like 5% off because I wasn't using my American Express. So he wasn't really doing me any favors. But for me, it was better because at least I saved 5%. Yeah. Exactly. So instead of giving 5% to the credit company, credit card company, who's giving it to? Me. You're right. Same amount of profit. So he took that $5, the 5% that he would have given a credit card and knocked the price off to me because he wouldn't have to give the credit card people the 5%. He gave me the 5%. So from a profit standpoint, it's a wash to him. Yeah. You guys got that? Did you guys know that's how credit cards work?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Well, there's another reason you want cash. Why else does a retailer want cash instead of credit card?
It's pro cash flow?
And what does that mean?
Because with the credit, they get the cash now, but with the credit card, it's like, you have to wait, yeah.
Exactly. So if you're a retailer, when do you want your money? Now. It's exactly right, man. You want that money as soon as possible. So the retailers would rather use cash, but obviously now forget everybody uses credit cards, yeah.
I know about the credit card thing because KSU, if I pay my tuition with 3%. If I pay through my checking account, it's
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
You can pay
it's
directly
together.
from your bank account.
I think
Like
so.
a 50 to 70.
Yeah, it's a good.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, that shows you. That's the same thing, cash versus credit, so that's no different than a retailer. So, cash versus credit, we talked about entertainment. Instant gratification, this is interesting. Although Amazon's doing a hell of a job on this. Amazon now, when you buy something, how long does it take to get? Sometimes a day, 2 days is the most. Never was like that, it used to be 3 or 4 days. If you go to a store and buy something, when do you get it? Yeah, so there is, again, a lot of people want, if they buy something, they want to see it, they want to touch it, and they want it now. That's why and the last thing is risk reduction. Yeah, you go to a retailer, if you buy something at a retailer, like say, you see it, you touch it, you know what it is. If you're online, I know I bought stuff online, so a lot of times I ask myself, let's see if this works.
When it gets delivered.
Gets delivered, if somebody steals it. Nowadays with the porch pirates. So there are reasons why consumers want stores. So it's not like you guys, when you're my age, that stores are gonna be gone and everyone's gonna buy everything online. That's not gonna. Online's gonna grow, I still think, but you're always gonna have stores. Okay? Yes, sir. Okay. Listen, so we went through a bunch of stuff with retailing, I think, in 3 days. You guys have any questions about anything we talked about? Sure. You'll be sick of it. At the end of the semester, you'll laugh at that question. Because we get the pricing, we'll talk a lot about it. So, I'm a retailer. Actually, it could be any channel, it could be a wholesaler, doesn't make any difference. He buys from a manufacturer. He buys $1,000, he gets $1,000 worth of stuff today. Does he pay, just, the stuff comes in, he gets the products, does he automatically go boom, transfer $1,000 to the manufacturer? No. 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 The industry standard, and I'm gonna say it's like 90%, something called net 30. What does that mean then, net 30? You asked the question.
They pay.
No. Kind of. Net 30 means in 30 days you gotta pay it.
Oh, yeah.
So this guy is, whoever this retailer is buying $100,000 from the manufacturer, net 30 means he doesn't have to pay for 30 days. If he doesn't pay in 30 days, what happens, you think? Late fees. Why is this net, I don't know where this came from, but net 30, I'm telling you, I bet 90% of products are net 30. So what it does is it gives the retailer see the good thing about this for a retailer standpoint, it gives him the chance of selling something before he has to pay for it. Right?
Yeah.
So he's worried about paying this $1,000 to his manufacturer. If he can sell that stuff in a month, done. So that is, what you want when you're buying something, what do you want? The terms is longer or short as possible? Long. Because there's a thing called net 60. We'll talk about this in pricing. There's a thing called net 32%. Julie, what's the 32%?
Pay within 10 days, you get 2% off. So
Exactly.
pay less.
So there's terms 210, net 30 means you get 2% off if you pay within 10 days. If you wait for 30 days, it's a full price. Yeah. I didn't mean to badger you there if I was a little.
No, that was good.
Okay.
As you were saying it, like,
Okay. Any other questions? Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question. You were talking about that one company that doesn't sell. Isn't that also risky? That certain companies, like Arizona, how they print their price on the can. Why we don't sell it because we can't make discounts off of it.
Exactly. Well, that's different, right? But it isn't. So these people that make these power tools and lawnmowers and stuff like that, they've chosen to go to this, they go to these independent retailers because maybe they want to keep the price up, maybe they don't want to deal with Home Depot. And like we said before, Home Depot may force them to drop the prices. A lot of reasons why you wouldn't do that. Arizona, when they put the price on the can, and Arizona is one of the few, there's not a lot of companies that do that. Not a lot of, how many products do that? Not many. Some snacks, sometimes you see snacks at 99 cents. What do retailers think about that? What do you think QT thinks about that? They hate it.
Yeah, because they can't do anything.
Exactly.
Prices they can't.
I'm a retailer, I'm gonna set the damn price. I'll sell that Arizona tea for $89, $99. I'll sell for what I wanna sell for. Arizona tea, don't tell me what I'm gonna sell your product for. I'm the one selling it. So it's called pre-pricing. So pre-pricing is when pricing is indicated on a package. And it was more prevalent, but now it's hardly at all. Because retailers, what happened was, not to go too deep
You know
here.
when the barcode came out?
No, the reason pre-price went away is because retailers got bigger. So in the old days, Kroger, for instance, was 5% of what it is now. And over the years, Kroger bought other supermarkets. They get bigger. So when Kroger had 100 stores and Arizona Tea had 99 cents on the can, they didn't have enough power to tell Arizona to change. When they have 3,000 stores, and they're the number 2 grocer in the country, Arizona, get the freaking price off your cans. What does Arizona? They take the price off the cans. But Arizona's not at Kroger. It's sold to QT. So QT, as a retailer, any retailer is big enough, this has happened over years. It used to be retailers didn't have no leverage. Now retailers have leverage for a lot of stuff. They could tell Arizona, not only take the price off, Arizona wants to buy, you know what a pallet is? So they may have a minimum delivery of a pallet. Meaning Arizona says, you have to buy a pallet at every location. If QT's big enough, they'll tell them, go to hell. My minimum is a half pallet. Only buying half a pallet because they want to buy as little as possible because what Arizona wants, and any company wants to shove all those products in the store. Because if they're in the store, what happens to them? They're going to sell. But they may sell for cheaper, they may clog up the store. The retailer wants to have command, they don't want the manufacturers. Any other questions? Nothing? Big time, you all right? Okay, corner? Okay. All right, we'll see you guys.